She's very happy and well, as you saw there, pricking her ears, and she always enjoys her exercise. Loves coming out in the morning and gets in quite a strop if she can't come out straight away. She doesn't like to wait. But she's been fine since the race at Kempton, the September Stakes. She enjoyed that outing. And look, it's a massive task, big mountain to climb again. If it had gone quite right last year, she obviously wouldn't be trying to do it this year. But we've been very thrilled with this. It took some time to get her to race fitness, as I was very clear with everyone about that, getting her to a racing weight. And when we ran her in the Eclipse, I would have to say she was probably only 80%, but she needed that race to bring her forward to get her there. You can't do that kind of thing at home, not with a lady of her being. She likes to do things her own way. But she ran a lovely race in the Eclipse, got a little tired in last furlong, and then she went and won a third King George. So we were all over the moon with that. It's never been done before. And obviously now attempting to win this third arc. It looks a fantastic race. Certainly Aidan O'Brien is fielding, you know, a wonderful filly in Love, who naturally being a 3-year-old gets all the weight, which benefited from when she won the Arc as a 3-year-old, and some great older horses. So look, all in all, it's very exciting, and we'll see. At the moment it would be fast ground. We'll see what the weather does, but she would like to get a toe in a little bit, but she's in great form to attempt to do the impossible.
And your jockey, how's he ahead of the race?
He's fine. He has he's going to quarantines. Every time he goes to France, he has to do all these tests, negative, then he waits 7 days, negative, and then being an athlete, he's allowed out again. So he's having a strange existence between French racecourse. He did ride at Doncaster, he missed the whole of York, and he's in his gym a lot, and I think he's driving his whole family mad at home, but that's his bubble that he's in. But he'll be out hopefully next week and able to ride her in some work and just help bring her up to the race. You know, he likes to tell us all what to do all the time.
We've just seen Nasif as well. Obviously she won the Group 1 Falmouth Stakes. Is the plan to go back to Newmarket for the Sun Chariot?
Yes, it may well be the Sun Chariot here, the Group 1 over a mile. She'll also be in the Opera. My concern slightly with her for the Opera is she didn't handle the downhill section in the Nassau Stakes. When it flattened out, she finished well. She was dropped back to last, and she ran on to be third. So she's quite a lazy character, as you saw going up there. She sort of whistles along, you know, happily in her own time. So she's very brave. She's got a good heart. She's been very consistent and a great improver. So I think possibly slightly more likely here, the Sun Chariot.
And you mentioned Frankie currently isolating after that run on Stradivarius. Happy with that? He lost nothing in defeat.
No, it was a French race in the sense that it was a French trial. Normally, you know, in Barcelona was riding Anthony Van Dyke, and he went what we call nice gentle French fractions, because in the trials they don't like to overdo them. They come into the straight and then kick. And I thought for a 2.5 mile Ascot Gold Cup, where he showed great acceleration down the straight. The other horses behind never got to them. And I thought, you know, both horses ran lovely races, and he came up a neck short. But it was a trial, as I reminded everyone, and couldn't have been happier with him. He's never been away from the stables in 5 years, except for one night to Chester as a 3-year-old. So it was his first time going away from home, and his first time going abroad. So he went to France, and he got a little excited in the paddock, then he settled down, and look, he ran a really lovely race, and he came back in great order. He's full of himself, so we're very much looking forward to running him in the Arc. No idea on jockeys tonight because of the quarantine problems, whether we'll be using a jockey in France or what we'll be doing. There's no decision on that at the moment.
Palace Pier, we also got to see. He hasn't put a foot wrong this year. The plan, all action for Kipco British Champions Day?
Yeah, I think very much looking at the QE2. He ran a lovely race to win the St James Palace, coming late and finishing strongly on the bridle actually. And then obviously we were very, very happy with the Jacques Marois. We wanted that straight mile for him. They did an excessive amount of rain they had, so it was very soft, but he handled it well. The form then got franked pretty strongly in the Prix de Moulins. And you know, it was always a plan to go to the QE2, and we'll stick to it, the straight mile there. And he's certainly given us all the right signs at the moment.
And do you imagine that being his last run this season, or will that be a decision you'll make after the race?
It depends. I would have thought there's a strong possibility he stays in training as a 4-year-old, in which case that probably would be the last run of the season. We're getting deep into October there. I didn't really want to be whizzing him off to Hong Kong or America or anything at this stage. Maybe do all that kind of thing next year, you know, but not this year. So hopefully the QE2, he runs a big race, we'll be waiting to be running him as a 4-year-old. We regard him as a mile and a quarter horse, and so he very much was likely to go to the Irish champion after York, but then things changed on the quarantine rules, and then William Buick could go and ride Gayeth, so Gayeth went, and because Gayeth went, we're not going to put 2 on the aeroplane from the same family. Didn't make any sense, so we naturally missed Leopardstown, and well, yeah, he'd be fresh and in good form to run in where he won the Prince of Wales, back to Ascot, so we know he likes the track. We've been very happy with him. He's a great character, a lovely horse to be around. Pretty naughty boy before he got gelded. He was very rambunctious. He's the type that would go into a bar to have a drink and cause a fight. He was one of those, but he certainly has channeled those energies into racing now.
Brilliant to see Logician back at Doncaster after what sounded like quite a serious illness. How's he after that race?
Well, as I say, you can probably just see over there the Newmarket Equine Hospital. I think the vets there, it's fantastic if you ever get a chance to visit it. It's just like going into a 6-star hospital, human hospital. They did a great job saving him. He had that peritonitis, which is the most desperate thing, and he was that close twice to not being there the next morning, and they saved his life. And he came back. Yes, it was a 2-horse conditions race, but what a lovely way to come back at Doncaster, where he'd won the Ledger the year before. And look, he enjoyed it. He took the race well. I don't think we'll try and do anything too flash this autumn. I think if we stay sensibly, maybe something like the Cumberland Lodge, a Group 3 at Ascot, just try and nurse him back up the ladder a little bit, and then hope that he'll be in good order for next year. With the illness he had and the treatment he had to go through, you're a little bit on tenterhooks all the time, but he's certainly, the horse is very happy and well. He's done nothing but obviously improve through the year. He impressed us when he won the Newmarket Stakes virtually in that first bit of racing in June, and thank goodness we got back to racing. And I know it's behind closed doors, but at least the horses can race. It's not the same, but it's like having a football game. At least you're having a game. No, he handled that well, and then the owner who bred him and bred his father, Make Believe, was very keen, Prince Faisal, to go to the Prix du Jockey Club at Chantilly, and the horse was somewhat of a revelation. I thought he might get placed. I didn't think he would go winning it, but he did it in great style. And then they have that nice race in France at Deauville called the Guillaume de Narno, where the Group 1 winner does not carry a penalty against other 3-year-olds. And it's specifically designed for the Prix du Jockey Club winner to run in. So I thought, we'll oblige. So he went there on the same weekend actually as Palace Pier, the Jacques Marot weekend. And he won that well in that testing ground. And we thought then, is it the Arc, is it not? His pedigree doesn't say 1.5 miles, quite the opposite. His father was quick, and the mother's by Raven's Pass, who I trained, was a 1 mile to 1.25 mile horse. So looked at the pedigree, and to me he's still a horse who's grown a lot. He's not fully furnished and strengthened yet. He's still improving, and I felt an Arc for him at this stage of his career might do more harm, and particularly trying to stretch him over 1.5 miles. I know a lot of people felt, oh, he should be running in the Arc, but to be around him, he's still very much the sort of 17-year-old kid. You know, he's done a lot of growing and changing. So to that extent, we decided, no, we'll stay at 1.25 miles, and he'll be going to the Champion Stakes on Kipco Champions Day at Ascot, all being well, and I'd expect him to put up a pretty big show.
John, we all know that you spent some time in America before coming back to England and training in various places, but I know your family in particular have a huge affiliation and connection with Newmarket, and I just wondered, in your words, what kind of makes this town so special? Well,
I suppose I came here first I once came with my father. It took us 8 hours to get to the December sales in the fog, and virtually another. It was a long day. I just came up here, but I was always fascinated by the place. And then I used to come on my motorbike when I was at Cambridge over to watch the races or go to the sales. You know, for where we're standing now, they've been cantering horses up here for 350 to 375 years now, right where we're standing. It's interval training's been going on here for years. It was the heathland, because it's chalk and it drains well and the gradients are what you want, is why they came up from London up here to train their horses. It became very much with James I and II having their horses here, so it goes back to the late 1600s. And from that point, I suppose the history is here. You've always had stud farms here, stallions, so it's not just the race courses and the racing. There were 3 race courses here. There are 2 now, of course, the Rolling Mile and the July course. But I think very much with the breeding that went on here, it became the centre for flat racing. And the horses walking through the town made that, you know, very similar to, as I was at Middleham recently. It's a great sight when the horses are walking through the town, and became part of the whole conurbation here, the whole of the, you know, it's sort of rural, urban. And of course, along with it came then the veterinary clinics we just talked about, and became the sort of centre. And I suppose to that extent, when you're anywhere in the world, they have races called the Newmarket Stakes, and in Australia, let alone in America. So it's always regarded as where the embryonic stage of racing took place. So therefore, you know, it's a logical place to put your roots down. I worked for Sir Noel Merlis here years ago, and as we were talking earlier, his son-in-law Henry Cecil took on. So, you know, there's a lot of great history here, and I think with the sales, Tattersall's sales, it's a huge clearinghouse and makes it very important and central again. And we're just 60 miles north of London, and to that extent, it's a lovely place to train horses, and it's an easy place to get to for people from the major cities. So from that viewpoint, it's held its place, and it is 4,500 acres of grassland and gallops, and so it's a wonderful place, obviously, to train horses. And the way it's set up now, particularly with the synthetic all-weathers, you can do fast work 365 days a year here if you wish to. And of course, we now have year-round racing.